Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. Tom Selleck received a life sentence. Jail time, but it doesn't stand in the way you may believe. The well-known actor who defined masculinity on television for generations have been subjected to a punishment that is much more enforceable than any court might enforce. Although his peers sought notoriety at all costs, Selleck inexplicably vanished from Hollywood's prominence during the peak of his professional life. However, what might make a man leave everything behind in the height of fame? What invisible bonds held this decades-long television legend? And worst of all, why does this now, the 79-year-old legend, fears losing everything he's constructed? This is the Tom Selleck's undiscovered narrative, a tale of principle, sacrifice, and the cost of distinguishing oneself in a field based on conformity. The voyage of Tom Selleck began in Detroit on January 29, 1945, the auto-producing city of Michigan, not celebrities. Born to Martha, a Robert Dean Selleck, a housewife, and Tom is a real estate investor and executive, was their second child out of 4. However, Hollywood was not in the near future for the young family of Selleck. As soon as Tom was only 3, the family packed relocated to Sherman Oaks, California. 48 saw a ruling that would unintentionally created the conditions for one of the most famous careers on television. Having grown up in Hollywood's shadow, Tom was growing into a young individual of remarkable size, ultimately arriving at 64-inch, athletically built, and would eventually turn into his trademark. However, this is what's intriguing. The act wasn't even on his mind. While enrolled at Grant High, Tom was establishing his reputation at school, not for his talent as an actor, but for his extraordinary athletic ability. Following after graduation, in 1962, he went to Los. He attended Angeles Valley College, kept showcasing his sporty skill. His basketball abilities were so remarkable that he received a college degree, funding for the University of Southern California in his junior year. Tom wasn't just any student at USC pupil. He was an exceptional athlete, playing basketball with the USC Trojans team. In addition to being a pitcher and baseball's designated hitter group, his features are chiseled, remarkable height, and innate charm. He seems destined to work in business or sports. After all, he was choosing business administration as their major. However, fate had other ideas. It happened during his senior year. That was a surprise. A theatrical coach's recommendation would alter the course of his life forever. Taking note of Tom's remarkable appearance and organic presence, advised him to attempt acting. This informal suggestion would turn out to be Selleck's life turning point. Occasion so important that he made the brave choice to leave USC in his final year to follow this new interest. Consider that, leaving an almost earned a degree to pursue the necessities sounded like a dream that was unattainable. However, Tom didn't do anything half-heartedly. He registered in the Playhouse in Beverly Hills under Catsalis Milton, committing himself to mastering the art that would give him a household name in the end. However, before he became famous, Tom Selleck would encounter yet another transformative, the Vietnam War. 1967, as his aspirations to act were just getting started, he was given his draft to shape. Take note. Instead than attempting to avoid, he enlisted in the California serving with the National Guard in the 160th 1967-1973 Infantry Regiment. These initial years of hardship were characterized by ads and bit segments, transporting anything from Pepsi to Salem cigarettes, deodorant from Right Guard, and even making an appearance on the show as a bachelor dating game, both in 1965 and 1967. Now, it's nearly unthinkable, yet that the man who was going to be Thomas Magnum was once simply another attractive face attempting to gain recognition in the mercilessly Hollywood is a competitive industry. What? The majority of people are unaware of Tom's. It wasn't a quick climb to fame. The arduous ascent was characterized by rejection and minor jobs that hardly settled the bills. However, something was growing throughout these years of struggle, a strong work ethic and a feeling of honesty that would characterize his whole profession. He had no idea that these attributes would soon be tested. Final examination. Following years of perseverance, Tom eventually managed to capture his depart from a regular role on The Lance White, a Rockford Files character, captivating and astute private investigator. Stardom wasn't yet here. However, it was a footing, an opportunity to expose a larger audience to his talent. His tough outdoor persona made. He is ideally suited for action roles and westerns, providing context on what would grow to be an important part of his profession. Tom was able to obtain an important part in his debut western The Sackets, a movie in which he revealed the film alongside Sam Elliott, an icon of the West as well as Glenn Ford. His entry was noted with this, entering an area of music that would embrace him with open arms throughout the duration of his career. However, when these positions were developing his resume, he wasn't being made famous. Not yet, anyhow. What is rarely spoken about is that prior to Magnum PI, Tom has shot 6 additional TV pilots that was never sold. 6 searches for the part that would make him a household name. 6 letdowns. Can you picture the perseverance needed to continue after so many close calls? However, perseverance pays off. And in 1980, following innumerable despite rejections and auditions, Tom was accepted to a part that would transform everything. Magnum PI's Thomas Magnum. But this where the narrative takes an unexpected turn, one that exposes the real personality of the man who is responsible for the mustache. Tom was about to start when, while filming Magnum PI, he received the principal part in a short film titled The Lost Ark Raiders. Indeed, the position a component of Indiana Jones that would make Harrison Ford is a worldwide celebrity. It was once-in-a-lifetime chance, assurance of movie glory. There was only one issue. He had signed earlier, Magnum PI contract in an industry infamous for not keeping their word and contract disputes. A lot of actors would have jumped if they had discovered a way out. Ship for the greater chance. Not Tom Selleck. Despite being aware of what he could be not letting up, he kept his promise to Magnum PI. In a sad turn of events, AA writers' strike postponed the production of the Magnum pilot by more than half a year, the moment that would have enabled him to shoot Raiders ultimately. However, how could he have been aware? That choice, selecting honesty over opportunity, might come to represent Selleck's whole playing career. Additionally, while we cannonly speculate as to what his Indiana Jones could be similar to his depiction of Thomas Magnum became into a television phenomenon. Myth. For 163 seasons and 80 episodes, Thomas Magnum was played by Tom Selleck, an ex-Navy SEAL who became a private Hawaii-based investigator who is well known for his colorful Hawaiian mustache baseball cap, Detroit Tigers t-shirts, and the famous Ferrari 308 GTS. The performance wasn't simply well-liked. It was a cultural phenomenon for which Selleck received an Emmy honor for the Best Main Performer in a Drama Series in 1984. However, the setting of Hawaii hid a taxing actuality. The physical strain of filming long days in paradise took a toll, struggling against the blazing Hawaiian sun Selleck's restrictions. By the conclusion of the show, exhaustion had set in by 1988. An element that, together with an eagerness to discover fresh possibilities and concentrate on his personal life, influenced his decision to terminate the series. Even more amazing is that Magnum PI became known as the highest-rated 1-hour program in history, numerous reruns that are syndicated, until 1998. Tom Selleck was more than just a celebrity. He was a famous figure on television whose impact would last well beyond his lifetime as Magnum Thomas. Additionally, as we'll learn, even more would be revealed in his upcoming chapter on the man who is the source of the renown. As Magnum Tom Selleck was being made a household name by PI.name, his private life was going through notable modifications. Between 1971 and 1982, Jacqueline Ray, a model, was his wife. Additionally, he adopted her son during that period. City 6 saw the birth of Kevin Shepard. The marriage ended. Although Tom's dedication to fatherhood remained unwavering, a mirror of the same unwavering commitment he made to each and every facet of his existence. However, it happened during the filming. In the WT motion, Picture Lacia and in 1983, England, Tom's life would alter forever. There, he encountered Gilly Mack, an actress and dancer, starting a relationship that would result in a relationship that is much more durable than any of his romantic roles on television. August 1987, when Magnum PI was getting close to its Tom, and Jill got married in the last season in an event that provides a wealth of information regarding Theman himself. In a time when celebrities' weddings were spectacles for the media, and they kept their nuptials totally concealed from the media for about a month. Even so, when Tom was at the top of his game, he regarded privacy above public relations, a notion that would direct his future decisions. Ahead. The year after that brought an additional boon, the arrival of their Hannah Margaret daughter in December 16, 1988. Furthermore, it wasn't a coincidence that Tom selected this time, the conclusion of the origin of life as a Magnum PI dad to a baby, to create another decision that changes your life. In 1988, Tom bought a ranch with 63 acres of avocados in California's Hidden Valley. Once Dean Martin owns it. This wasn't only investing in real estate, it was a declaration of intent, an affirmation that he was making a life for himself outside from the unrelenting Hollywood glare. However, don't misinterpret his withdrawal from the limelight as a getaway from his profession. All through in the late 1980s and early 1990s, Tom kept up his striking filmography. His function in Three Men and a Baby led to 1987's largest box office success in America. He starred in the 1990 film a Western movie called Quigley Down Underperformance that many people view as legendary, like the way he played Thomas Magnum. But what's very fascinating about this time frame is how adeptly Tom made their way through the difficult post-notable career changes for roles. Numerous actors found it difficult to escape their distinguishing traits. Yet Tom was able to broaden his repertoire while remaining loyal to his advantages. His recurrent function as Dr. Richard Burke, the affable senior Monica Geller's boyfriend, on Friends, presented him with a fresh generation of spectators and demonstrated his adaptability as a performer. In the midst of all, the ranch was still his haven. In contrast to many of his contemporaries, who prospered from the vigor of public gatherings and parties in Hollywood focus, Tom took comfort in the ease of observing crops grow and doing physical work. He is renowned for, declared that he liked, to perspire, sitting on a stationary bike outside, looking at his navel, and he was employed less expensive than anyone he might employ toit. This harmony between his obligations on both a personal and professional level priorities were more than just a way of life decision. It was a means of surviving. In a sector recognized for using those who fully dedicate themselves to it. While his peers sought notoriety, Tom was constructing something at all costs, more environmentally friendly, a life that would offer satisfaction long after the camera ceased to roll. However, keeping this fine equilibrium wasn't without its difficulties. Additionally, as we'll learn, even Tom Selleck's meticulously planned life would encounter its fair share of disputes. Even a guy as solitary and moral as Tom Selleck was unable to completely get away. Dispute. 2015, during the peak of among the most severe droughts in California, Tom found himself in a difficult situation, literally. The municipal water system in QS, he was sued by the district for allegedly incorrectly moving around by 1.14 million water gallons from their Hidden Valley district of municipal water, which he subsequently used to irrigate his farm of avocados. In AA period, when Californians were being asked to, in order to reduce water consumption, the charge struck a particularly delicate chord. The argument concluded with Tom paid to settle the complaint, about $22,000 for the Callias Municipality Water District, a sum that indicates fees for private investigators in the district in relation to the case. This wasn't. Tom had only ever discovered himself once, fighting unwanted publicity. All through, he has had to defend himself throughout his career, opposing tabloid reports that range from false accusations of fake love affairs regarding his private life. On every noteworthy example, AA newspaper item titled Tom Selleck's Father's Love Secrets. Item that Tom thought about submitting a lawsuit was dismissed mainly due to the fact that it When his father read it, it had an impact on him. However, possibly, the most reliable source of the contentious aspect of Tom's life has been his opinion towards gun ownership and his connected to the National Rifle affiliation. Following his close acquaintance, Charlton H. resigned from his position as. In 2003, Tom became an NRA spokesperson and him, emerging as a leading representative of the arrangement. He was a member of the NRA's board of directors for years prior to September 2018, saw the resignation. Even though he continued to be a part of the group, this association was made public interest when making an appearance on May 19, 1999, Rosie O'Donnell performed live. What was intended to be a marketing participation in his movie, The Letter, became an awkward conflict when O'Donnell inquired Selleck regarding his endorsement of firearms ownership, as well as his role in an advertisement backing the National Rifle Association. What's noteworthy regarding Tom's management of these controversies are his constant dedication to his convictions, even when they placed him in opposition to Hollywood's largely liberal society. In a sector where conformity frequently appears as if it were a requirement for approval, Tom has maintained his position, occasionally at both a personal and professional expense. However, this unwavering determination, this refusal to be anything different from his true self, has received a different sort of admiration. Even those who don't agree with his positions frequently recognize his honesty and sincerity. This is it. Same genuineness that would continue to a second career comeback as Tom reached his 60s, demonstrating that in the third act in Hollywood can occasionally be the most convincing of all. At the perfect moment, a lot of performers his age were transitioning into retirement or embracing a growing in supporting parts. Tom Selleck had an outstanding career comeback. Starting in 2005, he assumed the position of Jesse Stone, a transplanted police officer, in a series of television-based films. Based on novels by Robert B. Parker, this wasn't Tom just got another acting job. Acted as the series producer and even contributed to the composition of the fifth Jesse Stone. Thin Ice is a movie that wasn't a Parker novel adaptation, but was instead one of Selleck's original stories, himself. However, it was in 2010, firmly established him as one of the most enduring stars of television. 65 years old. A stage age at which many performers struggled to locate fulfilling employment. He pretended to be Frank Reagan, in the CBS drama, The Police Commissioner Bloods. The program adhered to the Reagan law enforcement family, the New York City police officers, the Manhattan District, and the department. Tom's character in the attorney's office acting as the head of the patriarchy at its center. What makes Blue's special Bloods are more than just long-lived. Running is remarkable for 14 seasons, accomplishment for any TV show, as well as its reliable quality and the bond it established with its viewers. The well-known family on the show, dinner situations became a trademark component, demonstrating the significance of family in Tom's personal life and striking a chord viewers who recognized in Frank Reagan the exemplification of leadership with values. However, everything that is excellent has to end. And CBS declared in 2024 that Blue Bloods would end its run. In an action that says a lot about his dedication to the program and his fellow actors, Tom and the other actors proposed to reduce their own pay by 25%, in an attempt to sustain the series, a gesture that is rarely observed in the frequently self-centered Hollywood world. In a 2024 interview, Tom revealed worries about his financial future without Blue's consistent income. Asked if he was concerned about sustaining oneself without the show, he openly responded that even if he was established for life, keeping a 63-acre ranch posed monetary difficulties. It was a shockingly candid acknowledgement from a man who had been one of the most successful sector for many years, and a reminder that even lucrative professions in entertainment have monetary uncertainties. Notwithstanding these reservations, Tom's legacy is safe. His contributions to television and films have been acknowledged with many accolades, including an Emmy, and he was awarded a star on the Walk of Fame in Hollywood. 3 years afterwards, he received the American Academy of Medicine Plate, award success. Now, as he's working on his fans of the memoir You Never Know, eagerly await the revelations and thoughts of a man who witnessed it all, but only disclosed what he felt compelled to. The novel aims to be as genuine and as considerate as the man himself, an appropriate culmination of a career that is defined by honesty. What does it mean, then, to be given a life sentence in jail in Hollywood? Tom Selleck has found it to live under the continual observation of the public's attention for more than 50 years, a statement that a lot of stars discover intolerable. However, Tom managed to serve this phrase according to his own terms, generating arrears of liberty inside the boundaries of fame. The actual sentences that have Tom's life isn't characterized by penalties, but dedication and to his principles. Although others made concessions in order to ascend higher or remain relevant, Tom remained steadfast in his was as well as his beliefs. He didn't Indiana Jones's function in honoring agreement. He departed a popular show in its height, in part, to prioritize family. He constructed a refuge from Hollywood where he might be characterized by something different from his notoriety. What's most noteworthy about it's not that Tom Selleck became well known, the fact that he stayed true to himself during everything, in a sector that frequently transforms individuals beyond recognition, has kept a core of genuineness that appeals to audiences even more stronger than his recognizable mustache or lovely grin. As stated by Tom himself, he's a traditional kind of man, an individual who feels uncomfortable at glitzy Hollywood events and more at home, observing the growth of his property.